told you that it's still completely possible for you to increase your Instagram engagement. In fact, I recently worked with one of my clients who managed to go from 600 to 800 likes per post to over 1,000 likes per post using just a few of the tactics that I'm going to share with you today. Now, I know it's not all about likes, don't get me wrong, but regardless, during this video, I will be sharing my 5 proven methods to help you increase your Instagram engagement. You know I don't like to hang around, so let's just get straight to it. Okay, so let's start off with a tactic that's really easy for you to implement, but often actually garners a huge amount of results. So this tactic is to make engagement easy. Let's focus on commenting, for example. So let's say you are trying really hard to ensure that your audience are more likely to comment under your content. Amazing. Now, what a lot of us do in order to encourage our audience to comment is we ask them to comment. So we say something like, do you guys agree with me? Comment below. Now, this is a tactic that works, don't get me wrong. I use call to actions. That's what that's called, by the way, when you've got a sentence where you're asking your audience to do something. I include call to actions just like those all the time in my content, so that it completely works. However, if you're in a position where you're really struggling to get people to comment, even when you're using a call to action like that, we might need to get a bit more specific. So what I'm referring to here is when you make it easier for your audience to comment because you're giving them specific instructions as to how they can do so. So instead of saying something like, guys, what do you think of this reel? Comment below. Instead, you're saying something like, if you found this useful, drop the love heart emoji in the comments. Or if you agree with what I've just said, drop the clapping emoji in the comments. So these are just examples which use emojis, but you can also say things like, if you needed to hear this today, drop a comment what says, I love this, right? The point here is that you're being a lot more specific with your requests and what people should share in the comments. And the reason why this works is because there's often a group of people who want to comment on your content. They want to engage with your content in that way, but they don't like writing long comments. They don't feel like coming up with something to say, and therefore commenting actually feels like quite a big task for them. I'm speaking from experience here because I am so one of those people. I don't like writing, and if someone can make it easier for me to leave a comment and show my support or share my opinion, then I will 100% follow the instructions that they gave me to do that, because I can't bother to sit here and think of something to say from scratch. I know that might sound weird to you because clearly I like to talk, but I like to talk. A lot of people prefer speaking rather than commenting. So doing this tactic is going to massively help you increase the amount of comments that you receive. Another version of this, just in case you're not trying to get comments per se, but you actually just want to get more overall engagement, something that can work really, really well is when you make it easier for your audience to engage by using interactive stickers. So these stickers are things like the poll sticker, the quiz sticker, etc. You'll normally see them on Instagram stories being used, but you can actually use some of these stickers on your reels as well. I don't know if you guys knew that, but as of like end of 2022, you can include some of those stickers on your reels too. Now, the key here isn't just to throw these stickers up, but when you're sharing your content on your feed, so when you're sharing a reel or a photo or a carousel, in your call to action at the end, why not say something like, guys, I just uploaded a poll on my stories where I'm asking you guys how you feel about the subject. Why not head over to my stories and engage with it? That way, you're making it easier for your audience to engage because all they have to do is interact with a sticker. You're driving more traffic to your stories as well, which is going to help the overall health of your account. And overall, you're just making your content a lot more engaging by making it easier for your audience to engage. Okay, so I started off with the easy one, and now I'm going to change pace and go to a bit more complex one. I'm going to put my marketing hat on. I should get a marketing hat. Don't worry, leave that with me, I'll work on it. I'm going to put my marketing hat on, and I'm going to share with you a marketing model that can actually be adapted to your Instagram content that can massively help you increase the amount of engagement you get. So a bit of context here. The reason why this model works is because in order for you to get a good amount of engagement on Instagram, one thing that you really need is retention. And retention is essentially when you're able to grab your audience's attention and then retain it throughout the rest of your content. So whether that means they're swiping to look at all of your carousels, or they're watching your reel until the end, or they're consuming your whole photo and reading your whole caption. Whatever that might look like for you, the aim here is actually to get someone to stop scrolling, which is difficult, and then also get them to consume all of your content. When you get people to do that, the chances of them engaging are drastically higher. If you think about the call to actions that we spoke about in the previous tip, in order for those to work, you actually need someone to read your caption and consume all of your content, right? So that's why this is really, really effective. So the model is called the AIDA model, and it's basically an acronym. So the A stands for attention, I stands for interest, D stands for desire, and then A stands for action. I wanted to pretend like I just got that nailed the first time, but I'm not gonna lie, I stumbled a bit and I had to remind myself what each of those letters stood for. So I'm not perfect. So that is what AIDA stands for. In order for you to use it in your Instagram content, you want to make sure you're hitting each of those words. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing your audience's attention. You've got some kind of hook in there that's making them want to stop scrolling. You have to make sure that your content is of interest to your audience in some way. So really make sure you understand who you're trying to speak to here, and you're creating content that you know will appeal to them. That's also the case for the D, which is desire. What does your audience desire, and how can you provide that to them through your content? And finally, you want to make sure there's an action in there. And those are the call to actions that I mentioned before. So if you manage to get someone to stop scrolling and consume all your content because it's interesting and it's desirable, you better make sure you're asking them to do something at the end, because otherwise that is a wasted opportunity. All right, so the next method that I'm going to want you to experiment is to spark conversation with your audience. This is the easiest way to get a lot of engagement on a post, is when you are actively trying to spark a conversation with your audience. Now, let me give you some tips and tricks as to how you can go about doing that. First of all, create content about a subject or a topic that you know your audience are interested in. Now, one way that you can do this is by using resources which will actually help you figure out what people are talking about at the moment. So resources include things like Google Trends. I'll put a link in the description. Google Trends allows you to actually see which search terms people are searching for on Google and how that changes over time. Another resource is Answer the Public, which is a website where you can enter in a keyword and it's going to tell you all the different questions that people are asking in relation to that keyword. Another resource is me. It's this channel. I will be uploading a video very shortly in which I break down my top secret tools that creators can use in order to make better content. And within that video, there's a whole section on how you can come up with better ideas for your content. And there's going to be a freebie which will allow you to access these tools and these resources even easier and use them to the best of your ability. So keep an eye out for that video. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button and turned on your bell notifications so that you don't miss out on it. Other things you can do which will help you spark a conversation with your audience is keep an eye on the news cycle and see if there's any news articles surfacing that are related to your niche, your product category, whatever it may be, your personality, your audience, whatever. If there's a news article that you know your audience will be interested in, why not use the green screen function on your Instagram Reels, which will allow you to upload a screenshot of the news article, put your face over it and talk about this news article, share your thoughts and opinions on it, and invite people to do the same in the comments. That way you're being topical and people will want to join in with that conversation. Final tip for me on this one, if you're trying to spark a conversation, just know that negative headlines, negative hooks, negative content actually tends to perform better than positive, which do with that information what you will. Like, a lot of people I tell that to, they're like, Jade, I'm not going to take that on board because I don't want my Instagram to be a negative place, and I completely agree. Just know that if you upload a piece of content what says 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy plants for your home, that is going to spark more conversation than if you upload a piece of content what says something like 5 reasons why I only buy fake plants now. Using the headline that's slightly more negative is actually going to get a bigger response. So I'm not telling you that you need to be negative all the time now. I'm just telling you what the facts are. I'm telling you what the data is shown. I'm just trying to do my job, okay? Don't hate me. Okay, so the next tip is to experiment with different formats. Now, when I say formats in the realm of Instagram, what I'm referring to is whether you're going to upload a reel or a carousel or a photo, right? So we're talking about the main feed content, but we're usually thinking about those 3 different formats. Now, what a lot of people do is they focus on reels, and I get it, I get why, because your reels actually reach a lot more people, so it's easier to grow that way. But today we're not talking about growth, we're talking about engagement. And when it comes to engagement, you might find out that there are certain formats that your audience are more likely to engage with. I actually ran a test on this recently where I uploaded photos exclusively to my Instagram account, and the results actually told me that my existing audience engaged more with my photos than they do with anything else. And if you want to find out more about that test and the other results, then I recommend watching this video here. So one of the biggest learnings from that whole experience is that your audience will engage with different formats, and I can't tell you which format your audience is going to engage with the most. Only you can find that out. And how you find that out is by testing different formats and keeping an eye on your analytics to see how people are responding to them, right? Fun fact is that Instagram will share more reels if your audience engage with reels more. It will share more photos if your audience engage with photos more, and so on and so forth. Which is why you probably know a couple of creators who only share photos or only share carousels and who are thriving. And it's because their audience prefers that content for them. So why not do a test with your audience and see which format they prefer to engage with? Okay, so final method is kind of all-encompassing of all the other methods that I just discussed. And what it is to try at least one of these tactics for a minimum of 6 weeks. Now, if I'm being honest, I don't even really think 6 weeks is enough. Normally I try and get my clients to try things for 3 months, but I also know that most of the time people give up. So I'm trying to be more realistic. Try for at least 6 weeks. I cannot tell you how many times I've worked with a client who has tried a tactic for about 2 weeks and then been like, it's not working, people don't like it, and then stopped. And then when I've got them to actually try again for a couple months, it starts to really, really work for their channel. It takes time for your audience to see what you're doing. It takes time for Instagram to understand what you're doing. Things just take time. It's not an instant result platform like it used to be in the year of 2015. Like, things just take a bit more time now. So if you're gonna try these tactics, then oh my God, go for it. But please do so consistently for at least 6 weeks. Okay, that is it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's all about my top social media growth tips that you've probably not heard before. And there are some doozies in there. There are some ones that people would want me to gatekeep, but I haven't. So you're gonna wanna give that video a watch. Thank you so much for watching as always. Can't wait to see you in my next video.